Before we preview Sunday Night Football and the Cowboys and the Steelers, I want you guys to troll our Steelers now host Jack Sperry. Now, we've had an issue last week where if you just type in F name, YouTube blocks some people. So I'm trying to avoid that. So instead, FJS, 3 letters, all one word, hopefully doesn't get anybody flagged for bullying, which it's all in good fun because he's doing it on the Steelers show too, so it's not a big deal. Most comments does get a free raffle entry for our Sunday Night Football raffle. So flood FJS in the comment section right now. Cowboys-Steelers could be a very good matchup. The over-under is kind of fluctuated. The Steelers still a 1-point favorite in this one. This weather might not be great. We'll see what it actually looks like at kickoff, but certainly is a game to monitor. A big one for the Cowboys. It's a tough slate coming up. A win would be very, very helpful. Now, the Cowboys injury report, not great. Micah Parsons, Brandon Cooks are not going to play. We'll see about Kalen Carson and his shoulder. We'll see what that's trending towards overall. He was limited on Wednesday and Thursday, or from this Thursday evening, by the way. Marquise Bell was a full participant. He's going to be good to go. Rico, that'll hurt his wrist, but he was a full participant on Thursday. Same with Tyler Guyton, so I'm not worried there. Trevon Diggs on Thursday did pop up with an ankle injury. He wasn't limping in the locker room, but this is certainly one to monitor because it means it happened during a practice. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for Trevon Diggs. Hopefully nothing bad, but that'd be a massive loss if he's even if he's a bit banged up. You need him out there with no Deron Bland right now. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, doesn't sound like Alex Highsmith, Jalen Warren, or Cordero Patterson will play in Sunday Night Football. Now, again, film this on Thursday. We'll probably know for certain once the video goes out, but I did want to acknowledge it as a real possibility. Highsmith will impact Tyler Guyton, not Terrence Steele. More on that in a second. And we'll talk about the ground game for Pittsburgh as well. So let's talk matchups to watch. And number one for me is Terrence Steele versus T.J. Watt. And it's not going to be T.J. Watt versus Tyler Guyton. The Steelers don't move Watt around. They keep him over the right tackle. That is where he comes from 98% of the time. It is very rare when they move him around. It's a nerve-wracking matchup. Terrence Steele's been better this year. He's been better than the past 2 games than what we saw last season. I don't feel good about anybody going up against T.J. Watt, though. This is a superstar caliber pass rusher. This is an NFL Defensive Player of the Year contender every single season. It is. But it is a matchup I don't like. And if you're Mike McCarthy, I think you have to chip and help Terrence Steele against T.J. Watt. I can't put him on an island, which means I've probably got to put my left tackle on an island. We'll come back to that later on in today's show. But what is your confidence level in the Cowboys beating the Steelers? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. It's the pinned comment, so if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. And also type FJS. Number 2, I don't know how much will shadow, but I think you'll see plenty of CeeDee Lamb on Joey Porter Jr. because, I don't know, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm not letting Beanie Bishop cover CeeDee Lamb. That's probably a bad idea. I think Lamb has room to be even better than what we've seen so far this campaign. I genuinely, if he ain't getting 10 touches a game, or you're trying to, I kind of think you're making some mistakes. Now, JPJ hasn't been that great this year. It was better last year, I thought. Hasn't been targeted that much, but the Colts picked on him. With Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. Joey Porter Jr. is a good football player. I'm not afraid of force-feeding CeeDee Lamb. In fact, I want to force-feed CeeDee Lamb regardless of who is going up against him. Number 3 matchup, the Dallas Cowboys against heavy personnel. Now, this is a little bit weird for Pittsburgh since Connor Hayward is listed as a tight end, but does fullback stuff for them too, so keep that in mind when we go through these personnel ranks. What matters the most to me is this. 11 personnel, 3 receivers. Pittsburgh is a bottom 5 team in using it 42% of the time. They run a bunch of 2 tight end stuff with Pat Freiermuth and our good friend Darnell Washington. They run a bunch of 13 personnel, which includes Hayward/Michael Pruitt, who's Arthur Smith's boy, and some 21 personnel stuff too, which is when they get creative with two backs out there. And that's fifth. They're not going to do a bunch of three receiver stuff. It's going to be a lot of heavy personnel. So it's base defense again. And hopefully two high safeties to help stop the Justin Fields run, which I think is easier from too high than it is single high, puts you in some better angles there. And that means they're going to run the football. Pittsburgh runs the ball a lot. Cowboys' run defense has not been very good this year, even after shutting down the Giants. And they're 27th in yards per game, last in stuff rate, a lot of yards after contact, a lot of outside runs. Pittsburgh is fairly balanced with their inside runs and outside runs on offense, but they are a volume ground game. They are not an efficient ground game. One thing to note, they have a tell at a pretty decent clip. Most of it's play action when not, so it kind of defeats the purpose of having a tell, which is good for Pittsburgh, by the way. They use motion on run plays. When they got motion going on, it is a run 63% of the time. That 37% pass motion rate is dead last in football. It is in many ways the opposite of how you use your motion. So that's something to certainly keep an eye on. Coming off of that then is this part. The Cowboys against play action. Pittsburgh loves play action. It is a staple of the Arthur Smith offense. They have been a heavy play action team so far this year. Some of the highest rates in football. I think it's top 5, or I think he's 4th overall in play action rate. Sorry, 2nd in play action at 37%, which I find pretty funny. That's the exact same as their pass motion. I don't think it's 1-to-1, but still. 2nd most play action from Justin Fields among quarterbacks this year. He has not been great with it, though. He really hasn't. High completion percentage, only 5.5 yards per attempt. It's a lot of short stuff. He's taking some sacks. No touchdowns yet this year. The Steelers do a lot of play action and a lot of runs, but they are not efficient when they do that. In fact, Justin Fields, out of the 33 qualifying QBs in play action EPA per dropback, is bottom 5th. He's 29th. Bottom 5. Behind not great names, Bryce Young and Bo Nix and Deshaun Watson and Caleb Williams, who's not played great. It's not all his fault, but still, not a great group. Cowboys defense, though, is 8th in EPA per play allowed on play action stuff. Now, the stuff involving Derek Carr's deep bomb hurts you pretty heavily there. That's a pretty big EPA play that kind of skews it in the wrong direction no matter what. But they're going to run the ball and do play action. You have to be ready for it. And hopefully, you force a turnover or two. So get the Cowboys turnover chain. That's chatsports.com/Cowboys chain. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. And also be a clickable link over there in the far right-hand corner. Over there. So go click it today. Chatsports.com/Cowboys chain. 5th matchup, the Cowboys against the number 1 run defense in football. That depends on how you measure it. But the numbers don't lie very much for this Steelers team. They are 3rd in yards per game allowed on the ground, 2nd in yards per carry, 10th in stuff rate, 1st in EPA per carry. That includes some turnovers mixed in there. 3rd in yards before contact, 9th in yards after contact. They have faced pretty balanced inside and outside runs, and they do it by mostly stacking the box. 29% stacked box rates. That's, 8 men in the box. Or 7 men in the box, I should say 7. That's pretty noteworthy. They are willing to load up that box. And they are willing to, they don't do a ton of light boxes. They're kind of average there. They tend to kind of do some early down stuff where it's a little bit heavier. Part of that's the person they've been playing against. But they are not afraid of putting an extra guy in that box and saying, okay, 8 men, let's do it. 7 men's neutral, 6 is light. So if they're going to try to stop the run, you got to get some big plays through the air. And big plays, period. This is kind of your bonus matchup. Explosive plays are terrible right now in Dallas. Now, the passing explosive plays have been good. They're tied for 12th. I want it to be higher, but they have 11. They are dead last in rushing explosive plays. That's a 10-plus yard carry or a 20-plus yard catch. They are 31st in football with 15 explosive plays. There's no big chunk stuff. If you get some stacked boxes, Let's try some deep shots, see what happens. What side of the ball do you trust more right now? O for offense, D for defense. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. What side of the ball do you trust more? Let's go 1 to 5. Some players to watch this week. Number 1 is Tyler Guyton. Look, he's not going to get TJ Watt. He's going to get a lot of probably Nick Herbig, maybe some DeMarvin Leal, all things that are fair and valid. I need better play out of Tyler Guyton. He because it's not TJ Watt over him, you probably got to try to put him on an island some, unless you want to do a bunch of max protect stuff, which I would honestly hate. I don't think that that's a very good idea. I would frankly call it a mistake to go down that path. I'm a bit worried here, but he needs to play well and not have so many back-breaking penalties. Number 2 player to watch is Marshawn Kneeland. And look, there's no Micah Parsons, no Tank Lawrence. It is his time to step up. He is going to have to make an impact. He is going to play a lot against the run and against the pass. He was really good week 1 against the this is, I think, where you kind of had the benefit of a bad Browns offensive tackle room like Kneeland feasted. Been pretty quiet since then. Now is the time for him to show up. So how many sacks will the Cowboys get against theirs? Fields will hold that ball a little bit. He'll also bail from the pocket, do some fun stuff. You almost want to contain and make you beat you as a pocket passer. How many sacks, though? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Number 3, safeties. And I'm kind of curious, do you see some changes here, personnel-wise? Do you give Marquise Bell some more run? Malik Hooker has not been good enough. Donovan Wilson has not been good enough. You made him a tackle, and he missed a surefire TFL that cost you 3 points. Kind of don't like that. I have been disappointed by the play of your safeties. Undoubtedly, I have been disappointed. I mean, it bothers me because I thought they were going to be a lot better than this. They haven't been so far. So against Pittsburgh, be better, or else at some point, like you can't have your players saying about accountability and doing their jobs and everything, and then not making changes if guys aren't doing it. Got to back it up. Now, we will be live for the Cowboys versus Steelers game on Sunday Night Football, so hit that sub button if you haven't already, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Number 4 is Jalen Tolbert. I want to put in Ryan Flournoy Turpin, that's fine too, but he is now your number 2 receiver. He's going to be out there even more. I actually have liked him fighting for the ball in some contested catch stuff. If you're going to call those, I hate them, the hitch routes, I don't like them, but still, if you're going to keep calling them, get to Tolbert, not Brandon Cooks, who's out anyway. We need Madden Tolbert, right? Those of you who have been subbed for a long time. I need Madden Tolbert to show up in this one. Number 5, the Cowboys' interior defensive line. And I'm cheating because I'm really talking about Mozzie Smith and Osa Odigizua, plus your depth pieces. The Steelers' interior O-line is banged up. It's going to be a rookie in Zach Frazier, a rookie in Mason McCormick, who has not been nearly as good as Frazier's been really good, but he's an awesome player, go figure. And probably some Spencer Anderson. Maybe they get Isaac Malo back, but it's a banged up group on the interior of that offensive line, and maybe it's still Anderson ends up playing over McCormick instead, who I don't think is that great anyway. They're banged up. I need my defensive tackles. It's been a very quiet start to the year from Osa Odigizua. I need more from him. Mozzie Smith, I thought has played really good football the past 5 quarters. Let's make it 9. Let's keep stacking good performances. That is what you need out of that defensive tackle room.